I am a sales history nerd, and my wife makes fun of me
And you got a podcast too on that.
I do, yes, the Sales History podcast. But 100 years ago, like, we as a profession step on the same rake over and over again, right? Like that's what we do. 101 years ago, there was a circumstance that happened in the sales community where in 1921, the sales community experienced 77% salesperson turnover. And in 1922, it was 85%. And that was involuntary, where sales leaders were purging their entire sales organizations. I saw that in a 1925 book. And I'm like, what? Like, how did that happen? What was the lead up? The lead up was exactly the last 6 years that we're experiencing today. Almost exactly. And I had an experience last week. I was in a studio and there was a CNBC segment being recorded before me. And I talked to the CNBC analysts right afterwards. I was like, so many questions. So here's my rant. The 6 years that led up to 1921. Slow and steady growth for 4 years. So 2014, 2018, exactly what we experienced 2017 to 2020. You have a short-term massive disruption to the economy where the economy shuts off. Right? In 1918, we in the United States entered World War I, shut off everything. Everybody focused on the war effort. 2020, of course, COVID shuts down the economy. Doesn't last long, right? We weren't in World War I for long. COVID didn't shut down for long before everything revved back up to an accelerated pace to where the supply of salespeople vastly dwarfed what the demand was. You had massive turnover. You could call it a great resignation in 1919 and early 1920, just like here. You then had an inflation spike, right? In 1920, the inflation spike was 7%, and they called that catastrophic. We were at 8.5%, 9% here. And then the bottom dropped out, right? Unemployment went from around 5% to 23%. And sales organizations purge salespeople, and their perspective of revenue at all costs. Oh, who knew? Who's heard that before? Went out the window, and instead they replaced it with profitable focus. Now, I've been ringing this bell since January, going, hey, this is coming. Like, we know this is coming. And meeting with these CNBC people that I did on Wednesday, I was just talking to them about, like, I gave them that rant about, like, that lead up. And I said, the one thing that's different here is unemployment. Like, why are we not seeing the unemployment spike right now? And they had just said there's really two reasons. Number one is the participation rate in employment was lower. So as a result, you've got a longer runway before that starts to spike. And then number two is because of inflation, those people that have been sitting on the sidelines are only using on-demand work as their method of bringing in income. Because inflation's so high, they're going to have to start finding jobs soon because costs are going out the window, and you're going to see unemployment go up. And as a result, we are in for a long, deep recession, probably not a depression. And they both agreed it's like a stagflation environment where you've got inflation and no growth from a GDP perspective. And I went and cried myself to sleep afterwards.